Our site is we're makeadifferenceandvote.com. The basic premise of what we're doing is having people register to vote. Our slogan is 20 for 2020, which is getting 20 million registered voters in 2020, 20 people at a time. And what we're going to do that, honestly, is working with a cell phone, because everybody's got one. Everyone in this seat here has a cell phone. And what we find is that a lot of times people make stuff tricky and fancy versus just saying, have you registered to vote? Take out your phone. Right now, go to vote 1, 2, 3, 4 and get it done. We've created is basically a 4-step system on that. People you meet, people you talk to, family members, it's just confirmed that they're registered to vote. So when you call them, our goal is to say reach out to 20 people. And that's not a reach out. Most of us talk to 20 people in a week. And just asking the question, are you registered? So our 4A system is basically, first A is ask, are you registered? If they're not, let's get you registered. Go to vote 1, 2, 3, 4, you can be registered 2-3 minutes. Then the second A is about accountability. We want to say, how are you going to go vote? Are you going to go? You're going to go to the polls? You're going to do a mail-in ballot. We're supporting people to do mail-in ballots because I think in a lot of places where traffic, lines, whatever that may be, it's just so much simpler just to put a stamp on it and give it to the mailman. But however that works. So when people commit to either going to the polls or doing the mail-in ballot, and we're asking them to do something next, which is accountability, the second A, we're saying take out that same cell phone and give us a selfie. We want you to either do it when you go to vote, so that's in the line, can't do it in the polls, or if you do a mail-in ballot, take a picture, send it. So now we've got some follow-up and accountability with people, because what we know is about half the people that are registered actually show up. And in some communities, it's 30% of registered voters show up. And so it's more than getting new voters engaged, it's also about getting those folks that are registered to actually be a part of the process. And then the last piece is we want to acknowledge them. The third A is acknowledge, which is thanks. It's just, we need to applaud for people when they do good work, because that makes them want to do more. We're kind of conditioned that way. We clap for us, we're like, wait, hey, they're clapping for me. I want more of that. So we acknowledge, and then the last is we do the ask, which is asking them, will they reach out to their 20 closest people? And reach out doesn't mean you have to reach out. It could be when they call in. I've had people that just started calling people. And so it really is about each one reaching 20, because that's the number we're asking for. And that creates a buzz, because if you think about it, if you guys have 400 members and 200 of them say, I'll reach out to 20, that's 4,000 people. And if that 20 reaches out to 20, that's 80,000 people. Do you see how it really sounds simple? But it's tricky, because some may reach out to 1, some may reach out to 30. But that's the first way of what we're looking at. So it makes it just really easy for folk to do that, because I believe that as much as whether it's Barack or, I worked for a number of years with Danny Glover doing stuff with him, and I know a lot of people do a lot of stuff. But all of that, if in some of the African American communities for sure, only 20-30% of the registered voters showed up, then that means we've got like an 80-85% failure rate. And I think we just need to say that. And so what I get is they need help. And Barack has no power in my children's life. As I talk to my older daughter about registering, who moved to Las Vegas now, she finished college, and she's like, well, yeah, Dad, well, you're right, I do need to do re-register because I just moved. And so, but Barack couldn't get her to re-register, but I could. And so the thing I'm really stressing with people is, let's not look way out there. Let's look right here and say, who in our immediate community, what family, what friend can we reach out to make that happen? We have a thing called the 80% Club, and it's really interesting. The idea is just saying to businesses or groups, sororities, fraternities, schools, what if you got 80% of your membership to commit to register to vote? You can't make them, but what if they commit? And then what if you say, well, what if we try to get 80% of our supporters to register to vote? So I just actually last week, we worked out some things. I've got 2 schools locally that have agreed to join the 80% Club, and their goal is to get 80% of their 16 and 17-year-olds pre-registered to vote. Think about it, one of these schools has 4,000 kids there. So they're talking about registering 1,500 and pre-registering. And then they said, well, gosh, we could get 20. Now what if those 4,000 kids, and we know that most real movements are done by children. And it's really interesting because I was fortunate enough that, and he may make it, I'm not sure, Paul Cobb from the Post newspaper, when I was going to start doing this, I went to sit with him because Paul actually marched with Martin Luther King. And I was like, I want to talk to someone that was there at Selma who really gets what this was about. And he said, I said, well, we're starting the first of the year. He said, well, I still want to do an article. So he did a front page article on me talking about 20,000 voters. And as I talked to him about Martin, he said, well, we didn't know we were doing anything special. We were just doing our part. We didn't know this was going to be a moment in time that people would look back on and say, oh my God, look at what this is. We didn't know this picture of us in the article, and I have a picture of him and Martin and the people, because I just thought that was inspiring to me, just to see someone that was there, but also to say, we still have work to do. But what I get from that is we're all Martin, we're all Kennedy, we're all Mother Teresa, Gandhi, whoever that is. They're just people who did what was in their lane. And so with that, checking my time, that's what we're looking to do. Now in phase 3, now think about that. What if a friend called me and said, well, you know, Cal, he's an alumni, has 500,000 alumni. How many of us have a school, a sorority, a Masons, a Rotary Club, organizations and groups that we're connected to, and even if they claim every one of them are registered, excellent. Then still we want them to get 20 people or make sure their 20 closest folks are registered, because what that gets now is the accountability of people showing up. I mean, so the point becomes each one of us have resources, and if we just tap into that, we can make that happen. And everybody, as I keep dropping it, has one of these. And so the cool part is, it's a simple thing for everyone to do. And hearing that, how doable does that sound? If you think about it, really. Each one of us have resources of people, have a fraternity, a sorority, or even just 200 of the 400 members of the part of your organization reaching out. If 20 got 20 got 20 got 20, that happened 4 times, we're over 20 million. It's just a math question. Now again, that's one of those network marketing things. You get two, now you're a billionaire. No, it takes some work. But the reality of it, it doesn't take a lot of work, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time if we just did it. And that's what we're doing. And so we're looking at all kinds of creative ways to make that happen. Actually, next week, I'm going to be on a radio show with a pastor who has like 2 million members, and their goal is to exclusively that week get 20,000 new registered voters. And so it's just, there's all kinds of ways we can apply this process. And so that's what I'm here to talk about, and just say, I'm not going to do it on my own. It takes all of us, you know, and as I don't know much about, really, I'm not a voting guy. I mean, I do workshops and coaching and speaking, and I help people solve their problems. But this is a problem. And part of that now is just incorporating people, letting them see what it is, and saying, are you willing? Like, I'm always about closing, because closing is like, what are we asking? And so like right now, I'm asking everyone here, are you willing to talk to 20 people? I mean, and just, even if they're registered, no problem. Get them to commit to send you a selfie, because that ensures they get there, and then get them to ask them if they're willing to reach out to 20. If they're not, that's fine. We want to make sure they go. You don't have to go any further. But it's really important. I mean, in the last quick stories, like I know that love to say to people in our community, in terms of African Americans, like I may not know Junebug or Bebe or Tawan, but I know Pookie, because that's my cousin. It's a true story. And I called my cousin Pookie and said, are you registered? He said, oh, that voting stuff don't matter. I said, I get it. I said, but here's what I'm going to say to you. Have I ever lied to you my entire life, as long as you've known me? This is important. And even if you don't think it is, trust that I said it is, and it is. He said, oh, you got some conviction about that, so I guess I'll go ahead and do it. And it was funny, because I said, okay, great, well, you know, after you get it done, we're going to do a selfie. He said, you knew I wasn't going to really go, huh? I said, well, I didn't know that you wouldn't, but that's how we're going to hold you accountable to it. And I said to him, now, are you willing, once he did it, are you willing to reach out to 20 people? He said, no, I don't want to do that. I said, no worries, just make sure you're there. He called me 3 days later and said, you know what? I've been thinking about it. And I know like 40 people right now I'm going to get, and he's already registered over 20 people. And I mean, and so it just starts like that. And that's the message I want to send. And if we all do that, we can get there before November. We can get there. And it's not about specifically the Baracks and the superstars and the athletes. It's about each one of us taking the personal responsibility. As I look at this picture with Martin Luther King and those guys, they were just people, they were kids. Paul Cobb at this point, he's 70, no, I can tell the story because I can't. He's 75 now. He was 19 when he was there, marching with Martin at Selma. And so we can all be that. And so I am actually complete, my time is up. And I want to thank you for having me here. And what I want to do is, I want to come back to the next meeting and I want to ask, did you do it? Because see, that's the accountability piece. It's not just saying it to people, it's the follow-up of, did you really do the work? And it's so good work and it's so worth it. And imagine how many of you went to a college, have sorority, have fraternity, have children in high school. I mean, we can do this everywhere. And it just starts one at a time. And so, thank you. I complete it.